So I've been really privileged to see a lot of IMHAs in their practice in a different range of settings, from low secure to high forensic types of hospitals. And there are some things that I'd like to share with you in this video about what makes a fantastic IMHA. And I think there are a couple of traits that I've seen over the years that effective IMHAs really embrace in their practice. The first one is making everything about relationships. Now, it goes without saying that the most important relationship is with your partner. And IMHAs who are really, really effective at what they do, they manage to create such a beautiful rapport with people where they are able to listen and really respectfully accept what people are telling them and view that as the most important thing for that person, and then do everything that they can to make sure that that's taken seriously. Now, the challenge in mental health settings, of course, is that sometimes you will be working with people who are experiencing delusional beliefs or paranoid thoughts, and that makes it very difficult to take instruction from somebody clearly on what it is they want to happen. For instance, thinking of IMHAs I've worked with, there was an IMHA who worked with a gentleman who was experiencing auditory hallucinations and was talking to God, and God was talking back to him. And he said to the IMHA, "I've got to get out because God has a mission for me and I need to go to my people and I need to carry out this mission." Now, what was beautiful with the IMHA's response was she took that seriously. She didn't in any way encourage his thinking or encourage anything he was saying, but she sat very calmly and she listened and she wrote down his views. And at the end, she very gently said, "I hear what you're saying. I hear it's important for you to leave. Shall we go and talk to the clinician about that?" And then she gave him some information about his rights to appeal. What I thought was really strong about that was in no way did she try and change what he was saying to make it more palatable. She really did become almost like a TV screen for his views and feelings to just be played out on. And I thought that that was really strong advocacy. The other group of people really effective IMHAs have relationships with are the staff. And this is where it's a very fine balance between becoming too pally with the clinical team and too aloof. And I do see IMHA services sometimes going too aloof. They're a bit too distant, a bit too formal in their communications with staff. And I think that makes staff feel a bit threatened or a bit suspicious of what you're doing and why you're doing it. The IMHA services who are really, really great, they're the ones who are friendly with the staff and are able to have pleasant conversations which are about the person's wishes and outcomes and information, but they don't get too close to them. And by too close, we're really thinking about our independence and how that's perceived and experienced by the people using advocacy. The classic example of this, of course, is when you go into the office. Now, you need to go into the office. Often it's the first place when you enter a ward. You have to ask the staff about risk. You have to ask the staff if there's new patients, for instance, or any new admissions, or has anybody asked to see me. So you have to go into the office. But there's something about making that interaction with the staff quick and very efficient in terms of what you're trying to achieve. There's something about if it's an open office, so that there's glass windows or the perspex windows and the people can see what you're doing. I think you've got to be very careful about how it looks. And the worst thing, of course, that advocates really unintentionally can do is go into that office really friendly, talk about the weekend, or I don't know, the Olympics have been on, or you've been on holiday, and laughing and joking, and people see that. And of course they don't know what you're laughing and joking about, but they see you being friendly, too friendly, and the question will be, are they talking about me? Are they laughing at me? The second thing effective IMHA services have is a presence on the ward. Now, I'll be honest, there's been a few occasions I've gone with an IMHA, an experienced IMHA, and it's really obvious that people don't know who they are. And I think, whoa, what's that about? Are you not here regularly enough? When you are here, you here long enough? Are you talking to the people? Are you going to people and letting them know about what you can do? Fantastic IMHAs, on the other hand, go regularly to the wards. And IMHA, out of every type of advocacy, should be the easiest to be accessible, because you've got a captive group of potential service users. We know who the people are who are eligible for IMHA. You know where they are. It's about just going to see them. So you want to have a regular presence on the ward, a couple of times a week. You want people to be asking, who's that lady? She comes here a lot. Or who's that man? Who is he? And then patients to be referring to, oh, she's great, or he's great, he's the advocate, you want to go see him. That's the type of dynamic, accessible advocacy that we want to see in mental health settings. Another tip in improving presence is to really think about your literature that you leave on the ward. For instance, I've seen posters that, instead of having a generic, this is IMHA, this is our service and our brand, it's a really personal, at this hospital, in this ward, this is your IMHA, and then there's a picture of the IMHA. And I think that communicates something to people about, we value you, you're special, we've taken a bit of time to make this just for this ward. And I think that's a really positive, quick win in improving accessibility. The third thing effective IMHAs do is they deal with things quickly. And sometimes we can get sucked into, okay, this is the plan, this is what you want, I'll go and do this and then I'll come back to you. Really good IMHAs, I think, deal with it there and then. So if it's about accessing information, they'll go in and get the person to come and speak to the patient. If it's about making choices, they will help them there and then to make that choice and communicate it. So there's something about, I think people value that, and people value that communicates that you take them seriously and that you can actually do something. Advocacy isn't always about listening and this process of listening. Actually, I want something, I'm gonna go and get it. Last quality of IMHA services I'd like to share with you is this fine line between giving information and providing access to information. And I think it's a fine line, but one of them is kind of okay advocacy and the other one is black belt advocacy. So let me give you an example. You've got a patient who wants leave, Section 17 leave, to go and buy some tobacco at the shops. And they say to the IMHA, can I have leave? I want to go and get some baccy. Can I go? Now the IMHA who gets information and provides information goes to the clinician, asks them and comes back with the answer. Let's imagine that the answer to that question is no, because the last time the person went on leave they absconded and there are concerns that they're going to abscond again. So the answer is no to that question. The IMHA who has gone and got the information comes back now looks as if they're part of that decision making process. And it can be that they look sometimes like they're the decision maker, or that they agree with the decision maker. And the IMHA in that explanation has to communicate why that decision has been reached. Now if the person disagrees with that, it will feel as if they're disagreeing with the advocate who's become the bearer of that bad news. And that's not great. We don't want that, because of course the IMHA hasn't made that decision. The black belt advocacy we want to be thinking about is providing access to. So that same scenario, can I have leave? No, you can't have leave because you absconded last time, we think you're a flight risk. The IMHA who's operating the black belt wants to say to the clinician, this is what Susie has asked for, can you come and explain that to Susie? I'm busy. Okay, when can you come and explain that to Susie? Because well, can you go? Well, no, you've made the decision. Could you come and explain that to her? And even better black belt advocacy, of course, wouldn't be to go and ask the question in the first place. The really great black belt advocacy would be, Susie says, can I have leave? And you say, let's go and ask together. And then you go with Susie to the clinician, and then Susie asks the clinician. And then that way we are promoting self-advocacy in very subtle ways, which makes it, of course, about supporting the person, which is more an empowering route to advocacy than me doing it for them. So a couple of things I hope give you some ideas about making that transition from okay advocacy to fantastic advocacy, and good luck.